Back to this 25 what to include thing. Okay, so 25 to 30 pieces. Now, or 35, I should say. Let me erase it out. Now, you want the best work, so you have to be very critical of your own work. So what you want to do is lay out all the images you have, lay it out, right? And then just start filtering. Choose your best, and any work you feel like that's weak, take it out. Just don't even include it, because if you have any doubts with it, so will the employers, right? The best portfolio, which this just goes for without saying for pretty much all the your best work in your portfolio equals to the worst work. This is very common. You hear probably a lot of people say that. What does that mean? Well, it basically means the people looking at your portfolio, they're always going to judge you by this piece right here. Because they're like, oh man, this piece is good, this is good. They're flipping through your work, oh, this is pretty good. And then suddenly they see a piece that's very weak. They're like, wait a second, what's going on here? And all the doubts come in. They're like, maybe the other previous work wasn't done by this person. Maybe they're working in a team and a bunch of people helped them with this kind of work. Because how could someone do all that beautiful stuff and then put in something that's so bad, right? They're going to think of you that way. And you don't want that to come. So if there's two portfolios that have very similar work, but one of them had a bad work in it, the other guy's going to win. Okay, so avoid this bad work. Be very critical. Ask your friends about it. After you put a portfolio together, ask industry people of their opinion. What do you think? And if they tell you to remove something, trust them. Okay, don't trust your gut instinct, because if a bunch of professionals telling you to remove something, they're probably right about it. That you shouldn't really keep it in there. Okay. And then lastly, to end your portfolio, you could probably include your resume. It's not even the biggest deal. Tell you the truth, in our industry, it's like 99% portfolio, or 90%, 10% is your personality. But resume, if you want to include it, even intro letters, all that, I don't think I ever wrote one in my entire career. But in most important, contact. Okay. For my portfolios, I don't include any of this kind of stuff, because for me, the work speaks for itself. If you have a lot of work especially if you actually worked on real projects, that is your resume already. If you have if you have drawings from Jurassic Park or concepts from Avatar or something like that, obviously you are working in industry and you're working on some pretty high profile stuff. So the resume, no one cares. No one's going to read it. This thing is very, very, I guess, not that critical in our industry, the resume part. It's all about your work. Let's just say 90 to 95% is based on portfolio. Okay, the last part is all about your personality. But the contact part is important. For me, I write my stuff directly on the portfolio. So include your name and maybe phone number if you're local, and then plus the email. Okay, that's all I include. So it's very easy to find. I generally stick to stuff right on the front of the portfolio so people could see it. Because sometimes, especially on films, they're looking at a dozen portfolios to choose maybe 5 designers. So everybody has the same this kind of thing here. So you want to make sure that your stuff, if they like you, they don't mix it up with somebody else's, that they can see your name very clearly. For me, I write my name directly on the portfolio so you could just see it. Okay. So because for us in LA, you just drop these things off. You drive over they give you some address where the film is being set up, and you drive over there and then just drop it off with the HR and go see ya, and they'll give you a call back or not to see if they want you on the project. That's how generally it works. So this kind of sums it up, the general tips. Okay, well, now here's some industry specific stuff. I'll put it over here. This is assumed that you are probably working in the industry already and have a couple of projects under your belt. Now, keep your portfolio very flexible. That's why using this kind of portfolio method is very simple, right? Because you can swap. Because you do sometimes swap a lot, depending on who you're applying for. For example, if you're going for a sci-fi movie, which I mentioned earlier, then swap everything out and put a bunch of sci-fi stuff. Maybe include a little bit of the other stuff, right? So all this stuff over here leans sci-fi. If you're going on a fantasy film, right? This is assuming you know who you're about to work for. For example, you're applying for Weta for a specific project like Lord of the Rings. You probably want to include a lot of stuff that looks fantasy and well designed, because that's what they're hiring you for. Do you know what I'm saying? If you put a bunch of sci-fi stuff, they're like, hey, you draw well, you design well for sci-fi, but can you adapt to our film? They second guess you, right? So include your portfolio. So for me, I have a common portfolio, and I also have these kind of industry portfolio, which is, for example, I have one just on sets because a lot of people want to see that. And then I have one just on details. which is like, can you take your excuse me, can you take your designs and flush them out for something like Industrial Light and Magic? Can they build your stuff? So I have these very specific portfolios. Let's see. That kind of sums it up, the kind of requirements. Let's just kind of go back and review a little bit of what we're talking about here. Okay, so general tips: keep it simple, keep it fast, keep it short and sweet. 25 or 35 pieces. Keep it in a portfolio that's easy to read. Keep in mind that whoever's reviewing your portfolio spends about 30 seconds to a minute on it. So there's really no need to dress it up all crazy fancy and put tons of work in it. Okay, rarely do they actually spend, they're not spending their entire morning looking at your portfolio. They're very busy people looking at your stuff. Okay, keep it your best work. You want to mix it up, show a wide range of skills. They could do characters, creature environments, painting, drawing, line drawing, all that kind of stuff, right? Mix it all up. Don't include things like violence, sexy girls, fan art. This is really big. Don't copy. Okay, this is probably the biggest thing here. Okay, they're almost like the same thing, fan art and copy design. Just don't put stuff. Put original work. Okay, avoid student-looking work. All this stuff you do in the first terms, whatever in your design school, keep them all out. That they don't belong there. Another way to think of it is, if you could, for example, even live drawing. For me in particular, if someone's really good at character design, for example, I look at some of the guys working at Industrial Light and Magic, like Carlos and these guys. If you look at their portfolio, obviously they could do live drawing because their character design is really, really good and all the muscles and everything's correct. So you know that this person is capable of doing live drawing. So they don't need to show live drawing in their portfolio. They use their work to show it. They use their professional work. Because, for example, if you have a very nice drawing of a building or a series of vehicles, then I know that this person knows perspective. You see what I'm talking about? You don't need to show that, hey, look, I took a class in perspective. You should have the work show that instead. Okay. Keep it focused to your industry. Don't put stuff that's not from your job in there. And that's about it. So hopefully this kind of summarizes a little bit about how portfolios are sort of put together in our industry. If you guys have questions and things like that, just kind of ask it in the YouTube channel, and I'll see if I can try to answer them. Okay, so hopefully this helps, and next week we'll maybe continue something along this kind of line, or maybe we'll go back to another painting one. So okay, so thanks guys, and see you guys next week. Bye bye.